But yeah, last week we saw our season opener in the Bahrain, and we saw DC, who's not here anymore. He was in here earlier, but not anymore. He won the Bahrain Grand Prix. Zinc was second, and then third one was Sir Nikolai. So of course the championship in the drivers goes like that. That thing still, Aston Martin are in the lead. Let me just quickly check. We're 3 minutes technically over the time, but you know, it is what it is. Hold on, constructors. So yeah, Aston Martin are still on top with 25 points. McLaren second with 29. 19. AlphaTauri third with 15. Williams fourth. Joined fourth with Alpine and Alfa Romeo, who have all three of them 14 points. Then Haas have only 1 point, and then the actual top three cars, the most famous top three cars in the recent times, Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari have absolutely 0 points going into round 2 out of 10. So every single point is gonna absolutely count in this championship, with the season being so short. We're still not going, even though it's 04. Basically 4 minutes after. We have almost full grid at the moment. It's 19 drivers. Is they seen? Yeah, he is. Okay, so we're gonna see round 2 of the championship battle between DC and Zinc. Okay, and then one of the Mercedes has left. We have a reserve in the Ferrari of F1 Kit. Alfa Romeo, I believe, is burst. And that's at the moment it, I believe. I believe that's the only 2 reserves at the moment that I see. Still not going. But yeah, lap 1 is gonna be. We shall expect some chaos in the beginning. Ruptures, Red Bull, and it looks like drivers are readying up. Not all of them yet. And now the time goes. Yeah, so now we go into short qualifying, and then after that there's going to be 25 lap race. But yeah, like I said, the lap 1 or opening laps are going to be very tricky around here. I mean, on every single track they're tricky, but here, oh boy, they're going to be interesting. There's going to be a very interesting one, especially going into turn 3, where you need to take the inside wall as close as possible, but there might be some drivers who take it too aggressively. They try to take it too much, and then they hit the barrier, and then the tire falls off, and then the race ends there, unfortunately for them. As well, through the first sector you need to watch out for those, or pretty much the whole circuit, you need to watch out for those very high curves. And it's since this game on F1 22 they were raced a little bit, but they still were, you could take them quite aggressively. This game you can't really. They are really aggressive, really bumpy, so you can't really cut them that much anymore. And especially on the exit of the first sector, the first twisty bends, probably turn 11, turn 12, the exit. That one, you don't want to take that curb between your car on the exit of that, because you will lose speed of that. Of course, it's poking down, so of course it's not gonna be good. Sync. Oh, is it gonna be deja vu from Japan? Hopefully not. We have already first cars coming out on track. We have Dorwizzy coming out on track. Drilla. Dorwizzy on the Inter tire. Set the... Why is this not going to... There we go. On the Inter tire. Wizzy Boy as well. Like I said, Drilla, TLW, Yenga Boy as well. Kid is as well on the Inters. But yeah, Dorwizzy and Kids barreling for the Inter Tire Championship in the qualifying, of course. They should really make a separate championship for that, or like a constructor thingy, or driver standing thingy, as well as constructor maybe. We have Dylan now on track, Chimp, Rob, Matt, Chesney, pretty much all those. There of course gonna be soon more drivers, but not yet. The first car who's gonna be starting our flying laps is gonna be Wizzy Boy. Not yet, but soon. Jono joins in, so that makes 20 out of 20 drivers. Thankfully. Wizzy Boy is gonna be starting his flying lap shortly with his very nice looking helmet. And taking as wide as exit of the final corner as possible. He lost it a little bit on the exit. Made contact with the wall, but that was a light brush of the wall. So with Wizzy into turn 1 and 2, breaking about 100 meter board, cutting the first chicane, or the first corner, and then the second corner as well, taking all of that track on the exit. Now into turn 3, you don't really want to cut this too much, and as well don't go out too far on that elevated curb, and then through this S's. Do not go too aggressive on the curbs. So 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, very nicely done. Most important thing, he didn't go over the curbs too aggressively so that it would block his car down. Now into turn 13, this open hairpin corner, taking as close to the wall as possible on the inside and exits. Now into turn 14, 15 and into the chicane 16 and 17. Here you can as well easily lose a car if you take too much curb, and into these kinks with the DRS enabled, as he enables it. 19, 20 probably, and 21, I don't flipping know. 100, 443, took a little bit too much of that curb in my liking. I don't know if that actually slows the car down, but if it doesn't too much, then it doesn't. Turn 16, 26, and then into the final corner, turn 27. The final corner takes too much of the inside. Tried to go as close to the wall as possible, but hit it on the inside. Wizzy Boy is of course going to go P1 provisionally, but that contact with the technically tire, and with the wall has cost them a little bit of time, but not enough. But I don't think it's going to be that much to just off of that to gain to Yenga Boy, who goes provisional P1, 127.437 behind him. Chimp with P2, 27.527. Drilla 27.555. Then TLW after Wizzy Boy. Dylan goes P1, 27.396. TLW 28.403. Darwizzy with 32.324, but he's on the Inter Championship class. Then Chesney is gonna go P7, 32.059, and he's not even on the Inter, so something must have gone terribly wrong on his lap. ASR Matt is gonna finish his lap, and he goes P5, 27.577. Then the Ferrari of F1 Kid probably crossing the line, and he goes P8, 31.890, the fastest driver currently from the Inter Championship side. Still we have yet to see DC and Zing coming out of the pits, our two championship protagonists for this season, unless someone shows up somewhat still on like round 3 round 4, and then he's gonna be Jono is on a flying lap technically. Tsunami is on a flying lap, just finishing his lap. And then crossing the line, he goes P1, 27.139 by the Mercedes driver. and putting his car into P1. This is crucial for them as well because they haven't scored any sort of points on round 1. So Nikolai putting his AlphaTauri in P4, 27.474 with his Italian car from Faenza. Dylan is making another lap, I guess. Jono is going to be finishing his Inter-Championship lap as Szczesny goes up into P1, 26.933 by Szczesny. I mean, honestly, I wasn't expecting that from him. Yes, still DC and Zink haven't set their times, and JSTM, but and still Trilla, I believe he can go faster, probably as well some of the other drivers, but impressive by Szczesny to go up into P1 already with used tires as well on a second run of them. Quite impressive by him. DC is going to be starting his flying lap, the same with his teammate Galley. He's going to be starting his lap behind DC. Is anyone on a actual flying lap? Chimp, I can't see. Cerniglide, definitely not. Dylan was improving to the first sector, improving to the second, but he's invalidated it. But he's just going for it for now to see what his pace is gonna be like. Tsunami has invalidated and Szczesny just did his flying lap. DC, let's look at his flying lap. Now through the essays 4, 5, 6, 7, flipping hell. The corner numbers, a little bit of slight oversteer. Sector 1, 31.498. When I was watching WizzyBoy, his was 32, so 6 cents faster than WizzyBoy already through the first sector alone. That would put him P8, but DC can go way faster than that, missing the apex on the inside a little bit into turn 15. Now into 17, DRS 18, and then 19. I don't flipping know these corner names, for God's sake. 59.2, hitting the wall and loses it a little bit on the exit. Yeah, that must have lost him a little bit there as well. Well, more than a little bit. That probably called as well for Cole Brown there, but I still think he should be up there into P1. Beautiful final corner, and then Deer is open, and he's going to be shortly crossing the line. It should be P1, even with that mistake, half a second ahead of Szczesny. Even with that mistake on the exit of turn 22, 23, 24. My goodness me, he's still absolutely slapped out of that Szczesny's time. Half a second, even with that mistake. Christ of Jesus. I made that up. Rob is not on a flying lap. Bruce is on a flying lap, but the second sector is 8 cents slower than, and yeah, he is 108, 109.7 or 4, and he has damaged front wing as well, so he's definitely not on a flying lap. Galley, well, it is a massive Aston Martin sandwich at the moment, with Galley being 15th, 36.045, but he's immediately improving on his time, 32.1. Which would put him, at the moment, it looks like he's going to be behind WizzyBoy with that time, with that first sector and Delta and that, of course. Now, here comes the part that it gets messy for me, because some drivers are not on a flying lap, some aren't. Drilla is on a flying lap, 31.9. It's half a second slower than DC. He's at 1.1 seconds behind DC. So, I mean, honestly, the only driver who I think who can get close enough to DC is Zink. Of course, there can be some drivers here and there that I haven't still seen their full potential, but still, Drilla 59.8. That's, I think, it's still like 4 tenths slower. Galley goes P3, beautiful lap time by the second Aston Martin. And that puts the Aston Martins into 1 and 3, as well. Galley being close to Szczesny, so it isn't too bad. And Drilla exiting the final corner. He has been gaining on his time, about 2 tenths here and there. And coming across the line, he is going to go P2, 26.809, coming across the line. And the gap shrinks down to 3.5 tenths, but still the gap is massive. Zink is still on a out lap, but he's going to be shortly starting his flying lap. Jono is going to be starting his flying lap just about. Gabby is on a flying lap, 59.566. It's a very good second sector by Gabby. He could be close to DC, very close to DC. Maybe ahead of Drilla. He is going to be ahead of Drilla, 26.746 by the Alpine. Behind is going to be one of the horses. That's Chimp probably starting his flying lap. Then the two Italian cars. Kid goes P3, 26.768. So the two Ferraris up in the top. It's a very good sign. Although in Bahrain, they were at the top in qualifying, but in the race they got shattered completely. They just weren't there. Rob has retired for some reason. ASMR is coming across the line and he goes up to P5, 26.816. It's getting a little bit close between Gabby and Matt. Wizzy Boy gets closer even to DC. That's still about 2/10 behind Wizzy Boy, but still a very good time by the F2 runners-up. The F2 runners-up. And the two French cars are up into P2 and P3. Galley drops down to P8 in the meantime. Jono finishes his time and he goes P15. Zink in the meantime, where is he gonna put his car into the positions? He's not gonna be ahead of DC. It's only P7 at the moment by the McLaren driver, 126.888. And JSTM, his former teammate, goes up into P7 himself as well, and Chimp goes up into P5, 26.798, and JSTM about a tenth behind that. Well, it's 800s. Still, it's getting a little bit close between Gabby and Zink. It's 140,000 between Gabby and Zink, and it's from P3 down to P9. And if Zink could gain 2/10s, he would be up into P3. Although, of course, other drivers can improve on their flying laps. Let's not discredit others in here. Is anyone else on a flying lap? John, no. Younger Boy maybe has started. We'll see if anyone else is on a flying lap. Just him, no. SMR, no. Chimp, no. So Younger Boy is the only driver that I see who could be on a flying lap. And it looks like that he's on a flying lap because he's using his ERS, and through the first sector he's improving by 4.5 cents through the first sector alone, 31.8 through the first sector, taking a good exit out of turn 13 to 14 and 15 and into then 16 and 17. I'm just trying to keep up with these coordinated turns, 18, 19, 20, 21 to 3, 4, 4. Yeah. And then half a second up for Younger Boy through the second sector. With that, he's gonna be up to P9, P10, about so, between his teammate and Zink. Through the final corner, though, very nicely and close into to the wall on the inside and exit, and Younger Boy goes up into a P5, surprisingly, 26.782, but lost himself between Kid and Chimp, and between him, he's 8 thousandths out of Chimp, but 14 thousandths behind Kid. It's absolutely ridiculous how close it is between from Galley to Gabby. From Galley to Gabby. It's absurd how close it is at the moment between P3 and P12. It's ridiculous. And then there's DC. Yes, his gap has shrunken to that gap, 1/2 cents, but he made a mistake through 21, 22, and 23, so he can easily gain about 2-3 cents maybe just off of that, because he lost a lot of momentum. as Gali is on a flying lap. Dylan is no, Dylan is not. Darwizi is not. So Gali is the only driver who is on a flying lap at the moment. Gabby, I'm just gonna check quickly. No, he's not on a flying lap. So we will check Gali, how he is gonna do on his probably final flying lap, if I will be able to see it, because there are yellow flags in sector 2. At the moment I'm unable. 2 minutes left, so it could be his final flying run at this point on. Gali, he's improving through the first sector by 2.5 tenths. With that alone, he is gonna be up into P3, but he of course needs to improve a lot more to think about being up there if he wants to think about starting high and then have good chance of finishing high. Of course, being in the midfield at this track is not really the greatest, especially into the first laps. Gali has lost a little bit through the second sector and loses a lot more time through the third, and he backs out of it. He backs out of the time, just I guess a little bit too much pressure maybe, or just casual bottle job maybe. Then there's no. Who the hell am I watching? Darwizi retires. There's a Alfa Romeo on the final corner, just sitting in there, doing nothing. DC is not on a flying lap, but who is no? I don't know who to watch. Yeah, no. Guess I'll watch Gabby for Christ's sake. No, he's not even on a flying lap. I'll watch Drilla for crying out loud. He's on a flying lap, definitely. To the first sector. Looks good, although he's in 7th, which isn't really ideal. Probably lost a little bit on the exit. He's 4,000 ups, which almost is nothing, you could say. You could. And Dylan has a 5-player grid penalty with collision with F1 Kid. So between P4 and P14, Dylan retires as well. Drilla got a little bit of a slide on the exit of that chicane, turn 16, into turn 20, and then into these 21, 22, and 23. He's 3 tenths down through the second sector. He lost lots of time through the second sector, and now he's going to be coming up to 26 and then into 27. Tsunami has retired as well in turn 2. And these are going to be the final times. Yenga doesn't improve, Chim doesn't improve, and then Drilla, he backs out of it. Chesney, he's not really improving, but behind him, who is... no, it's Gali, for Christ's sake, who is coming into the pits. Then it's Sir Nick... No, it's JSTM, for Christ's sake, who is improving by 1.5 tenths. Honestly, DC, how much is he improving? He's not improving to the second sector, although he's going to be improving a lot more in the third one because of his mistake. But we'll see first JSTM exiting the final corner, and he's going to be finishing his time. If that 1/10 is going to be true, he could be up into P3. No, he improves by only 42 thousandths, which doesn't improve him. He stays P9. DC increases his gap to Wizzy Boy, 26.2161 to Wizzy Boy. Zink goes up into P2, 26.489. Behind there's a Red Bull Ace who goes to P2, 26.477. Then Kid, who goes provisional pole position. Where has this kid come from? 26.155 dethrones DC from the provisional pole position. And he is going to be on the pole position because Jono has invalidated his final lap. So everyone's predictions of pretty much maybe DC or Zinga being on top in qualifying have absolutely shattered, because a reserve for Ferrari called F1_Kid95 beats the DC by a 1/10 of a second for the pole position here in Saudi Arabia. Although he has a little bit of an incident between him and Dylan. Dylan only got a 5-place grid penalty, which it's gonna be a question mark about that, but it's only gonna affect him for the qualifying for the next race, maybe a quali ban or something, I don't know, being more aware or whatever. But yeah, F1 Kid, the reserve for Ferrari, is on the pole position. DC in P2, Zink in P3, Asar Matt P4. After that Bahrain Grand Prix, a very good result for him. And then Wizzy Boy in P5, I believe. I can just check the race director, always. Yeah, Wizzy Boy P5, Gabby P6, Yang Boy P7, Chimp P8, Drilla P9, JCM P10, Nikolai P11, Chesney P12, Galley P13, Tsunami P14, TLW P15, Dorothy 16, Jonob 17, Burst 18, Rob 19, and then Dylan 20th after his penalty. Why am I shaking? For Christ's sake. I've done this way so many times. I don't know. Getting excited, I guess, because of a new person. Actually, there's gonna be a title fight, a realistic one, because Zink is just about there. There's 1, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and lights are gonna be out, and away we go here in Saudi Arabia. Kid doesn't get the grace of stars as DC is already side by side with him into turn 1, and DC has the inside, but now Kid has now the inside into turn 2. Acer Mott is ahead of Zink. And, well, they're going side by side, but DC has taken the race lead already on the opening corners on the first lap. And Kid drops down to P2. Zink keeps his P3 after fighting with Matt a little bit in the beginning. Younger Boy goes up to P5. Matt goes off track, and there's yellow flags. That's Tsunami in the back spinning, dropping down to P20. Tires, for crying out loud. Most of the drivers are in the mediums, but Jono and both the Alphas went for the softs, and then Galley, who went on the only one on the inters, for Christ's sake, hards, as there's Drilla going off track in turn 16, so Nikolai and Shizney going side by side through the kinks, and Nikolai goes up to P11. At the top, what's happening? Not much, but Matt is close, and he has already overtaken Zink in turn 25. That was a fairly easy move for Matt, but Kid, he's closing in on DC, but he's not gonna overtake him yet. Into turn 27, maybe into turn 1, but the gap is seeming a little bit too big as there are yellow flags behind. There's a mass amount of chaos. There's, oh my god, the two teammates, the Alfa Romeos, have hit each other. Rob into the wall as well. Wizzy Boy as well in the back. Amused has spun. There's a full car safety car. Chimp down in P19. Wizzy Boy down to P18. Dylan was involved there as well. Rob as well. Dorwizzy. Tsunami getting a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. And all of that chaos has caused a full car safety car. Tsunami is gonna have to go into the pits then. But yeah. Early safety car in the race as well. That's what I talked about this race, that on the opening lap it can be a little bit chaotic, and it became true that on the first lap there's gonna be a little bit of chaos, and it was a little bit of a big one. At the top it was fairly clean, but then in the back usually all that mess shit happens. Usually, not trying to diss the drivers who are slower than the top, but usually stuff happens at the back. The two AlphaTauris have upped themselves up to P8 and 9 as well with that. Tsunami is up to P17, although he has that 5-second time penalty, which he's gonna have to serve because he hasn't pitted, so he might as well pit now for softs, maybe. I don't know, mediums and then softs. To be fair, softs and the mediums wouldn't be too bad. Now that I think about it for him, because he's gonna have to serve that penalty anyway. Zink going into the pits very early on the first lap. There's someone who there are many drivers who cut the white line, I saw. But there are many drivers pitting. There's Zink, not Tsunami, surprisingly. So the two McLarens, Jono, Dylan, Rob, and Wizzy have pitted. Of course, from the back, Wizzy Boy, Rob, and TLW maybe some damage, but Zinc is trying to go for the hards and going until the end, I guess. Jono and Dylan, they're not gonna go until the end. There's no way they're gonna go until the end. Rob, TLW, Wizzy, and Wallenburst has pitted on the first lap, but I don't know what. I mean, maybe as well Rob, TLW, and Wizzy Boy maybe gonna try to do the same, but it's gonna be a little bit unlikely for them, since, well, a little bit slower, you know. So with these strategies that Sync is gonna do, you need the pace to actually do it and have a decent result, because you can't just rely on absolute masterclass, because I've had that once. I've literally had the same scenario for some, like pitting early and then going until the end on the hards. I don't think the safety car is going to be in now, so let me just check one thing, because I want to see how long the tires are going to last according to SRC strategy stuff. Jeddah. So your safety car is not going to be in because Immersed is still at the back. Yeah, it's going to be till the end, next lap. So tires until cliff / puncture. Hearts from 10 to 19. No, sorry, 16. Sorry, 16. Rob is pitting again. From 16 to 19. Mediums from 14 to 17 laps. Soft from 10 to 12. So there is a chance for the hard runners to go until the end. There is a slight chance. Those who have pitted, of course. But they will need to really manage those tires. They really need to manage those tires. Like, really need to manage those tires. But when they will go until the absolute end, then there will be absolute garbage. Well, I mean, yeah, garbage, you know, that stuff. They won't be just as good, especially not as good as when everyone pits for fresh hearts, or in Galley's point of view, for the fresh mediums. Then everyone is gonna be quicker, a lot quicker. So you're just gonna need to rely on that you don't lose too much time in the midfield at the back, and as well that the front guys are not gonna go too much. They're not gonna get away too much, and then just that you're gonna have luck that there's not gonna be another safety car. Safety car should be in this at the end of this lap. Should be, at least. Hello? Yeah, there we go. In this lap. Safety car is in this lap, so DC is gonna control the pace under these conditions. Tsunami still has that 5-second time penalty, which he won't be able to remove unless until he goes on into the pits and serves penalties you can't serve, or try to get them off. DC, when is he gonna be going? This is gonna be a question, because he's still weaving to get the tight times and as well to get them in, and he has already gone before the final corner. Yeah, he has gone already. The green flags haven't been waved yet, as we haven't crossed the finish line, but we're gonna cross the finish line now. So now we can go back to full racing. Kid is already maybe looking for a move, but no, he isn't. Younger boy, he's trying to go already around outside of Matt into turn 1 and 2, but that won't happen, as he has overshoot his corner a little bit, and now he's gonna be getting slightly pressurized by Gabby, but no, to turn 3 overtake, it's not really a dive bomb opportunity. I'm gonna be going a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3. But there is Sir Nikolai spun on the extra of turn 5. that is, no, turn 4, sorry, turn 4, whatever, the beginning of the S's, and he drops down to P20 to the dead last, and he is gonna be 10 seconds, over 10 seconds behind the next car at that point. Just unlucky for him, getting a little bit too heavy on that power, and dropping down the last 11.8 seconds behind Robbie. That's just unfortunate for him. Kid still being close to DC, but the gap is already 1.4 seconds between Kid and Matt. Jesus Christ, and Matt is as well building a gap between himself and Matt. It should have been the other way around, but whatever. Behind Yengaboy there is Gabby and Drilla, who are going to be trying to sniff behind him to try to look for a move, and with Nikolai's spin, that meant that there was left a big ass gap between Drilla and JSTM, and the gap is 1.5 seconds between Drilla and JSTM. Gali takes on the fastest lap, although it's probably next lap, well, means this lap. DC is gonna retake it as Jono and Zink fight for P13 into turn 1 and 2, and Zink easily does it on the exit of turn 2. Lost a little bit of time in there, maybe a little bit too much, but he's gonna gain to Chimp easily. At this point on, Nikolai goes into the pits, unfortunately. Is that a wing change? Oh, there is a Mercedes going wide, that's Tsunami going wide. They're losing that position to Chimp, but coming back onto the track somewhat safely, or at least that he hasn't killed anyone. Burst gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Here as well, those are kind of... Oh, to be fair, with those curbs, they're not that easy to get anymore. On 21 and 22, you could have gotten them easily, but not anymore with these high-ass curbs that can throw your car off like a flipping of the trampoline. Jono loses that position as he goes wide in turn 21, 22 and 23. Maybe he has front wing damage. It doesn't look like it. Maybe he just went too fast in there. In the meantime, Gallian and Chesney fight for P8 on the final corner. They're still side by side. Theirs has been now enabled, but they of course won't have it. Galli is ahead of Chesney going into the start finish straight. Chesney gonna send it? No, he isn't gonna be sending it. So Galli is in front of Chesney going into turn 1 and 2. Ahead, Matt losing time to Kid, but Yengaboy is still keeping up with Matt. Although Yengaboy has less ERS than Matt by quite some time, and DC and F1 Kid, they have pretty similar amount of ERS. They are doing the same. What's DC and Tsunami and Zink? Zink has crashed out. There's a massive crash in the S's. That's only a VSC. Somehow, Zink and Tsunami are both out. And Zink's strategy to go until the end of the race probably has been thrown into the lava, basically. Straight into the lava. No chance whatsoever. No rescue or anything. Safety car has been deployed. And those are our first two retirements of the Grand Prix. And the Zink's championship chances go into the, well, into the side a little bit. They're still possible, but with the DC and F1 Kid being this fast, and as well as his track choice, or his, not choice, but the way that he doesn't like Jeddah as well affects him a little bit. This saves Sir Nikolai's ass a lot, and the drivers coming into the pits. This is horrible for Galli, because now he's gonna have to take those mediums a long way. Everyone pits, of course. Hit for the mediums. Back DC as well mediums. Jono and CLW stay out. Wizzy Boy as well stay out. There's a whole jeez. DC and F1 Kid going for the mediums. But there's some more going for the hards, like Matt, Yengaboy, JSTM, Drilla, well, Galli of course going for the mediums, I understand that. Gabby going for the hards. Dorwizzy going for the hards. Chesney no, Dorwizzy mediums. Chesney, Chimp, Dylan for the hards. So Nikolai, of course, stayed out. I'm trying to think what DC and F1 Kid are trying to do, because they're not gonna make it to the end of the race because they have started on the mediums, so they're gonna have to pit again. So they're either praying for a safety car, or they're just gonna try and basically become a Sonic the Hedgehog. Both of them. They're just gonna run away from Matt, from Yenga Boy. They're gonna just pass and cruise by like presidents through a city, and they're gonna create a 10-12 second gap when they'll pit for softs, and they'll again do the same but just faster, and they will be 1 and 2. I genuinely don't know what are they doing. I mean, at this rate, another safety car could be a good chance, but then if they're praying for a safety car, then that's gonna be bad as well. I mean, it's gonna be they're gonna really have to time that safety car perfectly. It's gonna be like lap 16, 17, and when it has to be, because otherwise, if it's gonna come up like lap 12, then it's gonna be a little slight hard to try to get those softs until the end. Sir Nikolai has gone to the heart. DC and F1 Kid stay strong with their decisions. I mean, I don't know. Of course, the top 5, Jono, TLW, Wizzy, Rob, and Burst, they're trying something at least. Jono is in the best place, and TLW, because, I mean, to be fair, TLW is in the best spot because Jono has all of the drivers behind, 4 drivers behind, to keep DC and Kid at bay somewhat, to try and slow them down. But then TLW has hearts, which they can lose. At this rate, they're gonna lose until the end of the race. So, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting one. Safety car is not gonna come probably at the end of this lap, since Nikolai is still at the very back. He's trying to catch up, of course, but just, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to know what's happened between Zinc and Tsunami, because it was first Tsunami and then Zinc, so maybe some sort of context? I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of drivers involved. It was like the same like in lap 1 final corner, so I don't know. And of course, Jeddah is gonna come up with these drives, with these races. So if Nikolai might actually make it to the end like this. He might actually make it to the pack, although he might not wanna be, because then he can pit for hearts and then go until the end. Safety car in this lap, yes, safety car in this lap, very late call. Jono is going to be controlling the pace for this little period that he can, and safety car is now in, so now he can push the throttle. Now he goes, a little bit of a interesting strategy. Wizzy Boy is already trying to go side by side with TLW into turn 1, same with Gabby and Gabby, and TLW just went straight into turn 1 like Lewis Hamilton Ozarich on 2021. Mattis has been sent spinning, and he drops down to P17. Galli's as well dropping down to P14. DC is up to P3, with F1 Kid staying in P6 at the moment. Just cannot get past anyone, while his rival has passed 3 cars like knife through butter, and he's gonna as well overtake Wizzy Boy with absolute ease. Wizzy Boy kind of lets him through, to be fair. but it's just beneficial for him. F1 Kid sends it around the outside of a burst, maybe slight contact between the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo, but Kid has made that move. And he's up to P5. His next target is going to be Rob. And he's going to have to go through them like knife through butter. And Jono doesn't fight it, of course, between DC and Jono. So DC is already up to P1 on the opening lap of the second safety car. While his rival F1 Kid is only down to P4. Down in P4, sorry. He's still side by side with Rob, but Rob isn't gonna really fight this. He's really cautious what he's doing. Behind him is gonna be JSTM, who's gonna try and as well overtake him or do something. Chimp, is he going into the pits? No, he isn't. F1 Kid is gonna, of course, overtake Wizzy Boy into turn 1. So he's up to P3. His next target is Jono, which he's going to be stuck behind through the S's. Behind Chesney and Dylan lose a lot of places, and Dylan has been sent spinning, hitting the wall, maybe having some front wing damage. But again, he has been caught in an incident, just cannot catch a break. Already a 5+ grid penalty in qualifying, and then lap 1, and then lap whatever it was. Rob going wide, almost hitting Darwizzy on the exit. But not hitting him, thankfully. Kid is already up to P2, so the two protagonists for the win are already in 1 and 2, but Kid doesn't have well, of course, no one has the DRS yet because it's not activated, but he's not even within that zone and not even close. He's a second behind of DC going into turn 21. He needs to really gain on him. I mean, I don't know, just activating rocket ship power on his Ferrari, which it will probably kill his engine, because Italian reliability, Italian engines. GSTM defense of well from Wizzy Boy, but behind Darwizzy, and Drilla fights for P6 and 7. Darwizzy going a little bit wide, as Drilla got a very good exit, but Darwizzy re-overtakes Drilla, so he is back up to P6. Durs has been enabled DC with a new false lap, and into turn 1, Darwizzy keeps his P6 as of right now. Rob, he is going to be now pressurized by Gabby and Gally, and pretty much the rest of the pack, the rest of the cars behind him. Lap by lap by lap. Kid is ready 2.1 seconds out of Jono. He hasn't gained to DC at all. DC has actually increased his gap as Darwizzy overtakes his fellow or former championship rival up to P5 in turn 13. I said that we're gonna see some overtakes there. Jono is now keeping this group behind him as well. JCM is the first one. He's gonna have the DRS on Jono, but he doesn't want to overtake him into this corner. They're playing chicken games. Darwizzy needed to be careful as well with that, but for Jono it's a little bit dangerous to do that as well. JCM, is he gonna try and overtake him into turn 27? Darwizzy as well, looking for a gap, going to the middle. Contact slightly being made as JCM has been thrown into the wall. Down to P7, possible damage for him as well. As Darwizzy is down to P5, as Wizzy Boy still is up there. Jono as well, 3 wide going into turn 1. There's a little bit of contact between Jono and Darwizzy. I think a little bit more contact more. And Darwizzy and Wizzy Boy, more contact. Drama going on in here. And they're gonna go side by side into turn 3. And somehow they haven't ended. None of them have ended in the wall. But Jesus Christ, from P3 to P12, it's such a small gaps, and there goes one of the rebels. That's Rob, I believe. Yeah, that's Rob going off, and that's in burst. No, that's Sir Nikolai spinning, and because of that yellow flag, Chimp had to let go Rob through, but it doesn't look like that he lets him. So but it's a whole bunch of drama going on in here, as Darwizzy could be facing a penalty of putting JSTM into the wall. It doesn't look like JSTM has any sort of damage, because he's still it in this pack quite nicely, actually. Into turn 21, Darwizi, he's close to Jono. He's lost a little bit on the exit, but now with the DRS, I don't think either of them have that much ERS. And Darwizi is going to easily overtake Jono up to P3 into the final corner as well. JSTM overtaking easily Wizzy Boy into the final corner. Now Jono is going to have the DRS into turn 1 on this main straight, start-finish straight. Darwizi is going to defend the inside. No, he's it. Jono is just going to get him on the inside into turn 1, and Jono retakes his P1. The P3, although Darwizi tries to go around the outside of him on the exit of turn 2, and he gets it done. A beautiful overtake by Darwizi, getting his P3 back into that. There you go, folks. That's Gabby DNFing in turn 3, and that's a VSC. As of right now, I think he hit the he hit the wall on the inside of turn 3, and that's his race over. One of the Alpines down, and Wizzy Boy is left stranded alone with 11 lap old hearts in P7, with all of this bunch of chaos around him, and the top 2 just chilling in front, just minding their own business. But yeah, it is a virtual safety car, which doesn't help Nikolai as he went again into the pits. I was just guessing games when the VSC is going to be ending at this rate. I'm certainly enjoying this race at the moment. 10 laps, 11 laps to go. Well, technically 12 to the end. Lewis has been able, so we are back at racing. I don't think anyone's gonna be able to make a move, although the Younger Boys has already making a move on Galley into the final corner, but Galley resets it. He sets it a little bit too hard, sending it on Wizzy Boy. There's more contact between him and Galley, or him and Younger Boy. Chimp behind is gonna be close, and GCM is already overtaking Darwizi into turn 1, and GCM takes P3 in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix with 11 laps to go. Darwizi tries to go for a better exit, but just doesn't get it. It's a little bit of a slide, and JCM is up into P3. JCM from a horrible first round to now being up into P3 and for a possible podium at the moment. It would be a very nice comeback as well, because the final few rounds of season 4 were a little bit terrible for him. Just wasn't having great time, and it was either P3 or P4. It was either him or Tessa. I can't remember which way it was. And Darwizi now with the DRS, is he gonna now overtake JCM into turn 21? He's actually gonna go for the overtake, and overtakes him easily into turn 21. Then JCM should easily overtake him, but as well, Jono right behind JCM. Younger Boy getting a 3-second time penalty, and JCM easily overtakes Darwizi, of course, but Jono might be as well getting himself in here involved there. Doesn't want to get too much involved, doesn't want to overtake Darwizi. Now Darwizi should get the run on JCM into turn 1, but both of them are using ERS. And Darwizi, of course, with the DRS, he's going to get to run into turn 1 on the inside, and he goes up into P3 into turn 1 and 2. JCM tries to go for the switchback, or just for the better exit overall. JCM still tries to go look for a gap, but into turn 3 around the inside is not the great places, as Jono loses a little bit of grip on the exit of turn 3, and loses a position to Drilla. So Drilla is up to P5, but Drilla has a 3-second time penalty, if I believe. Yeah, he has a 3-second time penalty. So essentially, doesn't really matter. Chimp losing 2 places at once to Younger Boy and ASR Matt as well. Chimp trying to go for the inside of ASR Matt, but that's not gonna never work. ASR Matt right behind Younger Boy's ass, like right behind him, sniffing it a little bit, and he's gonna probably go for the overtake into turn 21. No, he isn't. He doesn't want to go that. I think he definitely hit that wall on the inside of turn 21. And he should get easily Yenga Boy, but as well, Chimp is gonna get himself involved, maybe, in there. Yes, he is, he goes for the inside. So, Yenga Boy loses 2 positions at once. Behind him, there's his teammate. Oh, there's contact between Chimp and Ace or Matt. And as well, Yenga getting involved in that. Jono goes into the pits. I don't know what Chimp tried there. Gally goes into the pits, surprisingly. The Ozzy and Drilla fight for P4, but Chimp is down to P9 and getting overtaken by Yenga Boy. Matt is up to P7. In the meantime, still in here, it's still the same. Rob getting a fastest lap of 29.366. Jono rejoining the track with mediums, Gally with the softs, and there's Wizzy Boy crashed out heavily on the exit of turn 11, and that has caused a full course safety car. And this is paying out beautifully for these two up ahead, because now they can just pit freely for their tires, which is going to be softs. And it's terrible for the drivers who have just pitted. Gally in burst, Jono and Rob, they are in trouble a little bit in here, but everyone is going to be going into the pits besides Gally and Burst and Jono. Maybe Rob is going to stay out. I don't know, but yeah, DC going in, Kid going in, JCM going in. I don't think Drilla needs to worry about double stacking because he's got 15 seconds to his teammates. I mean, already JCM is doing that for him, so, you know, doing that, backing up. Oh, Jesus Christ. I really thought he went for 10 lap old mediums. Christ's sake. Maybe there's gonna be someone who's gonna stay out, but no one stayed out from the drivers who would actually take the lead. Drillabon going for the mediums, Acer Mad going for the softs. Interesting, Drilla went for the mediums, JCM and Darwizi go for the softs, of course. Gabby leaves the session, JCM goes for the softs, Chip going for the softs, Chesney's gonna probably go for the softs as well, but he's gonna have to wait in there. Jono and Gally, of course, stay out, and they're gonna be in P7 and P8 respectively, so they're still back in the game. Dylan back up to P10, so his race is saved a little bit. Pretty much everyone went for the softs besides Trilla and Dylan, and Burst went for the mediums. Jono, he was already on the mediums the lap before. He pitted the lap before Wizzy Boy has crashed out, so that's pretty much understandable. And that's the two Alpines out, so the Frenchies are not scoring any sort of points in this race. No Wee Baguette chance in here, any sort of that. And yeah, for Nikolai, it's gonna be at third time's a charm, I think, because he spun on the exit of the first safety car. Then there were, I think, second. I don't know, but he's getting a little bit unfortunate here. But the one who is getting a little bit lucky in here is Dylan, because he's up to P10 after his race not going to that well as well in the early stages. Just being on the safety car, nothing happening. Yeah. Safety car is gonna be probably in this lap. If so Nikolai decides to stay out, of course. I mean, he can go in, and he does go in. No, he doesn't. TLW getting a 5-second time penalty. Collision with Rob. Not ideal for him, definitely. But he can get it removed, of course. He can get it removed. there's a possibility, but we will see what the FIA will decide on that. We will see what they will decide on that. That was the other one looking very strong in here as well, as he's in P3, while his, well, you could say rival in this race, JSTM, was who he was fighting with against very aggressively. But I mean, I wouldn't say fairly, to be fair. Is down in P6. Drilla has a 3-second time penalty, so this safety car is absolute shambles for him, and as well he's on the mediums with 6 laps to go after this safety car is going to come in, so he's not in a great place. The medium drivers are not in a great place whatsoever, especially the ones who have penalties, which is basically Drilla and Burst, but Burst has been at the back of the grid the whole time, so it doesn't really matter. Nikolai's gonna get him anyways, unless he decides to spin again. Safety car's gonna be in his lap. So DC is gonna be controlling the pace under these conditions. Yep, there we go. And now, is DC gonna pull off the same tactic, or is he gonna go on the exit of the final corner? This is gonna be the question. Of course, we're going slowly, so the drivers need to be cautious of that. You need some situational awareness. DC still won't be able to go because I mean, now he could maybe go. I don't know. He goes how he goes, and he's going. No, he's gonna be on the exit of the final corner. He is gonna be going. Yes, he is now going. So we are back at racing, not yet green flag racing. You can't really overtake yet, and now you can overtake. And Kid is closing on DC, but not close enough. And DC taking that chicane very, very quickly compared to F1 Kid, just absolutely sending it into there. And now DC needs to really fight with F1 Kid to get away from his 1 second, so that he won't get pressurized by the Ferrari. That way he's gonna have a nice clean race until the end. And the gap is almost up there, almost 1 second, but I see that Kid has better car for the straights, I believe. TLW drops down to last, and Jono fights with Galley side by side in there. Galley goes for the inside into here, still in on the inside, and goes up to P7, and still up to P7. There's of course no DRS, so he can't really overtake him yet. JSTM and Ace Armad going side by side going into turn 21, but Ace Armad is in front. F1 Kid is just on the outside of that 1 second. It doesn't look like that he has the straight line speed actually. Or he actually has, I don't flipping know. He is gaining on the straights, but he has less ERS now than DC. Chimp and Jono fight for P8, but there's contact between them, and Chimp has been a little bit forced up, and there's more contact between them. Oh my god, Kenny was on the exit of the final corner. Young Boy being almost killed in there. The same with Dylan, but both of them managed to survive that. Rob trying to go send it on Jono. And Rob is gonna make it around the outside. No, he isn't. Is there 3 wide? No, there isn't. Chesney backed off of there, I think. And Jono is up at the or in P11. He technically dropped down to P11, but whatever. Is it P11? After all that chaos, Drilla gets overtaken by Darwin. These two have already driven off from the from the back behind. Kid has less ERS than DC, but he is within that 1 second. But now DC can just run away from him with the ERS, so it's not really great for F1 Kid either. But then when there's gonna be a DRS, then he can just keep close behind DC, saving that DRS, and then positioning his car perfectly, and then just getting a good run up on DC. Although DC is a very good driver in here, has a very big mind to race, but as well he is bloody quick for in here. And there's TLW DNFing on the turn 21. Is that gonna cause another safety car? It doesn't look like it. DRS has been enabled, so it's not any safety car conditions. Darwish is gonna get overtaken by Drilla into turn 1, defends the inside, but no, he doesn't get sent by anyone. So he keeps his P3 at the back. It's still the same fighting. And Cerny has retired in the pits. Yeah, the race hasn't certainly went well for him at this point. DC, he's extending the gap, but then Kid, with the usage of DRS, gets the gap a little bit down, but the gap behind the Kid is getting bigger and bigger. It's 4 seconds between Kid and DC. Jesus Christ, these are in their own little league. You could include as well Zinc, but he's not in here. And so both McLarens and both Alpines are not making any sort of points in this race. And as of right now, neither are Mercedes drivers. JSTM overtakes Matt easily before turn 21, and Dylan as well overtakes Younger Boy into turn 21. F1 Kids has the DRS, so he's gonna close in on DC. Drilla is gonna easily overtake Darwish into turn 27, and as well with JCM, overtakes Matt into turn 26. You could say Chesney overtakes Jono into turn 27 easily as well with the DRS. Now Kid, is he gonna send it? No, he isn't. He stays back behind DC. Darwish re-overtakes Drilla into turn 1, and Matt tries to send it on JSTM. Contact there, but just a little bit of hard racing in my opinion there. And JSTM keeps his P5, even though there was a lot of hard racing in there. But still, JCM keeps his P5 at the back. Burst overtakes Jono, although there's more contact between the two. More contact, and the two spin simultaneously on the exit of turn 5. Burst just retires on track. Can't be asked to race anymore. Jono, is he still gonna fight for it, or is he gonna retire in the pits? Probably he's gonna retire in the pits. And DC is saving his ERS for the final laps to maybe overtake Kid later on. Jono gets a 3-second time penalty. At the back, Drilla, is he gonna overtake Darwish? Yes, he is gonna be overtaking him into turn 21. JCM not getting overtaken by Matt, as Kid overtakes DC into turn 26 on these final laps. But this could mean that DC is gonna just stay behind him for the final lap, and for turn 27 he is gonna actually overtake Kid just easily as that. He is not overtaking Kid, he's just trying to keep his gap behind him. Drilla overtakes Darwish into turn 1. Matt is still in P5, although JCM tried to look for a move. Dylan is there trying to go for a move, or trying to look for a move on JCM, but just isn't able to. Oh, JCM got a very bad exit of turn 4 and 5. Turn 4 to be fair. And he's right behind JCM's ass, so you can try and think about if he still is right behind him. Jono retires in the pit, so there's only now 12 drivers racing. So Mercedes drivers are not scoring any sort of points in this race either. Ferrari drivers are scoring massive amount of points. If Drilla manages to be somewhere around P7 at the moment, DC of course is not gonna overtake Kid any sort of place whatsoever at this point on. He's not gonna overtake him. Kid has only 27%, while DC is at 60%, so it's a massive difference. And as well, DC is gonna have the DRS for the final straight on lap 25. Exactly 1 lap later, DC is probably gonna overtake Kid, unless DC decides to bin it behind. There's a big racing behind as Matt keeps his P5. Dylan tried to overtake JCM, but just isn't able to. Neither of them have almost any sort of ERS. Is Dylan gonna send it on JCM? It looks like it, but he didn't have his even front wing up there. So JCM keeps his P5 alive at the moment. He can think about P5 or P4 actually, because of Drilla's 3 seconds that he really needs to get away with Darwizi, but Darwizi just isn't making any sort of progress at the moment. He's not getting away from Matt, he's just managing his pace, just finishing in P3 because he doesn't really need to push. DC is right behind Kit's ass, he's right behind his gearbox, he's right behind him, he can smell the victory from here, from this part of the circuit. He's not gonna overtake him yet. DC just knows that he can't really do anything about it because DC is so close behind him. He's just so close. Into turns 21, 22, and 23, and 24. And now DC with his all of his ERS, the same with Kid. But DC is gonna have the DRS going into the straight, deploying everything out of his battery. On the outside, Kid, is he gonna send it? Try to, but he's not, but he was too far back, he almost lost it on the exit, so DC gets the victory, home in Saudi Arabia, his second victory in a row in this season, and extends his championship lead over Zing by a mass amount of points. Kid finishes in P2 in a very good debut in the league. Darwizi getting his P3, the final podium position. Then was Matt P4? I don't know, but drive today. I mean, Dylan has won because he is like driven absolutely insanely. That's an insane result after what he had the experience. But then as well, you have to take an F1 Kid. I mean, in his debut, fighting for the victory until the very final lap, almost beating it on the final corner. Well, he did kind of, but he still kept his P2. I mean, he was not gonna overtake really DC on that. So, but yeah, DC, amazing victory, second one in a row, 50 points in his in his wallet, whatever, 51 actually, well, 26 full points out of this Grand Prix. Kid in P2, Darwizi P4, Matt P4, JCM P5, Dylan P6. Oh yeah, from P20 to P6 as well. Darwizi from P16 to P3. Jesus Christ, Drilla from up to P7, Gally P8, Jim P9, Chesney rounds off the top 10, Rob P11, Yengaboy P13, and then the drivers who have DNF'd are Jono, Burst, Nikolai, TLW, Wizzy Boy, Gabby, Zinc, and Tsunami. Mercedes failed to score any points. The same with McLaren and Alpine. But yeah, Aston Martin extend the championship lead in the constructors and in the drivers. Drove today. I mean, even though DC did pull off a very good drive, I would either have to give for F1 Kid, Darwizi, or Dylan. It's only for those. I mean, in your debut in here, already fighting for the victory, absolutely insane, absolute machine from F1 Kid. So, I mean, you can't really say anything negative for him, can you? I mean, yeah, it's either F1 Kid, Darwizi, or Dylan. F1 Kid on his debut, pole position, and then P2 fighting for the victory. Darwizi from P16 to P3, and then Dylan from P20 to P6. Absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know. It's honestly really hard to choose between them. It's like all three of them, in my opinion, deserved. In my opinion, all of them deserved for the flipping drive today. In my opinion, honestly, all of them. I can't. It's just too hard to choose. Honestly, too hard to choose. But yeah, it was a very entertaining race to commentate. Very much. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna call it right now the race of the season, probably. Maybe I'm going too far with that, but honestly, I don't care. It was already a very good race. Very, very good race. And of course there was chaos and that, you know, but it is part of the racing. Okay, so next week is Francois Le Castellet, and it's gonna be a sprint race. So annoyingly for me, it is one-shot qualifying. I absolutely despise those, but yeah, I need to just go through them. Yeah, next week, France Le Castellet. Yeah, there's nothing really more to add. Then see you next week for France. Ciao.